Perfect. All right, Alex. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. Sorry about this morning. We're having some Facebook technical difficulties, so we've had to pivot on the fly and go on to Zoom to record this class. I'll make sure that this is out for everyone's use shortly after finishing the class, but I wanted to go ahead and introduce Alex Szinegh for those of you that have not heard of Alex. Again, I hope everyone has been having a great week. Thank you again for joining us and joining our class for controlling your income. I want to jump right in. We've been honored to have many teachers on the Elite Experts platform, and one of them we've had the pleasure of receiving time after time is Mr. Alex Szinegh, formerly known as a disc doctor. Alex brings to the table over 28 years of formal real estate experience and has sold over 2,500 homes in his career. If that wasn't enough, he's co-authored 3 books, owns a real estate coaching firm, and is a bona fide superstar performer. He comes to us from the great Sunshine State, otherwise known as Florida, which explains why he's always in such a good mood. So if I can get everyone's attention, I'd like to warmly welcome Alex Szinegh. Alex?
Hey, thank you. Thank you for that wonderful announcement. And I just wanted to update a couple of things on there. I actually this month October the 15th will be 37 years in real estate. 37. So need to update all of that a little bit. I don't really like to brag, but I did sell over 3,600 properties in my career. I averaged about 100 per year. Some years I was doing mainly coaching versus just selling. I still sell real estate. I still have a license. I'm with a little independent company just to keep the license alive. And what I'm doing is focusing on helping and assisting other agents. I've trained thousands of agents over my career. I've worked with many big companies, franchises, Century 21, Remax. I work with Exit Realty, some independents, had my own company. So, I've got quite a bit of experience in the real estate business. However, that means nothing because nobody is really going to call me up and list with me because I've been in the business so long. So one of the problems I find is that well, let me put it this way. There's 2 ways to get business. You go find them or they're going to find you. And my idea 37 years ago when I got into real estate is that I lived in Canada at the time, and the average Canadian moves every 5-6 years. So I figured if for the first 5 years, I sell 100 homes a year, then the 6th year, all of those people are going to start calling me. Well, it didn't work out that way, okay? You continually have to keep going after the business. And that's why I call this whole session called Controlling Your Income. And there's some things, I don't know if you folks got the handout that I sent out, Damien. I don't know if everybody got the handout. But if you didn't, what I want you to do is just to take some good notes because I'm going to give you some nuggets here that you can work with. So, first of all, write this word down, control. Write the word control down. And when I speak of control, it's not controlling, okay? It's being in control. Being in control, the first person you need to gain control of is yourself. I started in real estate October the 15th, 1983. And when I started, there was no training. We had the dial phones. We had actual phone books. We had no technology. And the business was very, very different. So what I found is that the only way you could get some business is if you chased it down. And I always called myself a hunter. And I always had to kind of run down my meal every day. I had to get out there and chase it down. And that's the only way that I could get the business. And as things changed over the years, and right now, this year has been the most dramatic change in real estate that I've seen in the last 37 years, even though we had foreclosures and we had short sales and we had all these different changes. But this has been a really, really aggressive change in our business. And here's what I found. If you don't adapt, you die. So I started in October the 15th. For the first 6 months, I didn't make any money. But I was on the telephone because that's all I knew what to do, 8, 10, sometimes 12 hours a day, I had to go and hunt. And what I discovered is that I was having a real difficult time because the training program was like, hey, telephone, list, phone book, dial the phone, say hello, ask them if they want to buy or sell real estate. That was the training program. And I said, what if they say no? They said, okay, call another number. So that was my training program. So I had to go through a lot of people over time. And the first thing that I had to gain control of is myself, my time, my effort, my energy, my schedule, my timing, all of that I had to get control of. So that's the first word that I ask you to write down. The second word I want you to write down is discipline. Discipline. Now, what is discipline? Discipline is doing the thing you don't necessarily want to do, but you know you have to do it, then you do it anyways. Okay? I can't remember who, I read somebody's biography one day, and they said that their father, I think it was John Maxwell. I'm a John Maxwell trainer also. And I think his father always said to him, yeah, I understand, John, but do it anyways. So discipline is doing the thing that you don't want to do necessarily, but you know you have to do, and it's important in your business, and you do it when nobody's looking. You don't need approval from somebody else. You just make the effort to go ahead and do it. So discipline. The next word I want you to write down is the word consistency. Because here's the thing, and you can all relate to this very easily. You know, we've all done weight losses and training programs and exercise programs, and we got on it and we got off it and we moved and back and forth and all that kind of stuff. What I discovered over the years is that you do an exercise program, and I was a gymnast in high school, but then when I got married and had kids and all that, I kind of fell off the wagon a little bit. I didn't exercise at the level I did before because I was going into competitions. And what I found was that it was really, really hard to get back on. So if you're off of it, then it's hard to get back on, and you're off of it, and you get back on, and you're off of it. So it was always starting and stopping and starting and stopping and starting and stopping. So if you develop a level of consistency, and we're going to talk about that, how to develop that, then there's a steady flow of business. First 6 months of the business, I didn't make any money. I only sold one house, and it was my own house because I couldn't afford to pay the mortgage. I don't know if any of you remember 1984. Some of you are pretty young. You might not even been around 1984. But 1984 interest rates were going between 18 and 22%. 18 and 22%. Don't you find it kind of ironic now when you say to somebody, go ahead and buy a house, and they go waiting for interest rates to go down? I go, what, to zero? You can get 2.9%, 3.2%. It's free money. But back then, it was very tough, 1984, to sell real estate because interest rates were so high. I mean, you know, imagine an 18% interest rate. You know, it's like a credit card, okay? So it was very difficult for me to make some sales. And then once I got some really good formal training, I got personality training, which was the DISC, which I have taught a couple of times to this group before. I don't know if you ever attended it, but if you want more information, you should let me know. It's about personalities, because I always stated for the last 37 years, we are not in the real estate business. We're in the people business. Our product just happens to be real estate. So if we look at that and we feel good about it and we understand how to communicate with people, everything works a lot more effectively. So we said control, discipline, and consistency. In other words, keep doing it every day. If you're going to do it every single day. No days off from a standpoint of whatever you made a commitment to. I prospect and work every single day, Monday through Friday. Okay. So here's the thing. I'm going to talk to you about, your schedule and all of that a little bit later. So control, discipline, consistency. And the last thing I want you to write down, it's a hyphenated word. It's called proactive. Proactive. Because like I said earlier, there's two ways to get business. They find you, they come to you, or you have to hunt them down. You have to find them. And all I got to say is this. If you do not have a lineup of people at the front door of your office or at wherever you do business from, they're not trying to break into your place to do business with you, then you're going to need to go out and find some. There is two ways to find people. One is spend a huge pile of money, huge. I mean, tons of money. And I've done that trying to buy business. And if you don't have the money, what are you going to do? Well, the other way is to prospect, is to actually go out and find the customers. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that and how to do that and how to actually gain control of your income. Because sometimes I talk to agents and they say to me, well, Alex, you know, I get a lot of referrals. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So how do you work referrals? Well, I just wait till they come to me. Well, that's not working referrals. There's a methodology to working referrals, but unless you proactively go after, you have to make calls. Even if you want to gather more referrals, you're going to have to call centers of influence. You have to call previous clients, and you have to do certain things. So those are the 4 words I ask you to write down. Now, if you have the handout, Control Your Income says there is 4 parts, specific parts to accomplishing your business goals, your financial goals, and all of that. Number 1 is goals, setting goals. And I'm not going to talk about that because I think, Damien, is it October the 23rd? You folks are having a business planning / goal setting session. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so you make sure you guys sign up for that. I'm not going to do a training on that because, you know, you have some great experts that are going to help you with that. So that's October the 23rd on goals, but you do need goals. And the only thing I want you to write down on this is one thing. 95% of your success is the why, and only 5% is the how. Only 5% is the how. 95% is the why you want to do something, and 5% is the how. So a lot of times we spend a lot of time going to school and getting all these designations and learning about all kinds of stuff, mortgages and appraisals and all that. But unless we have a huge why, we're not going to accomplish our goals because we're just never going to go to work. I don't know how many of you finished high school and how many of you have college education, but I only went to grade 10. I never finished. I finished grade 10, went to grade 11, I quit school and went out. And I've made, this is just a fact, it's not bragging about myself, but I made millions of dollars over my 37 years in real estate. I've invested in property, I own property, and the reason I do what I do is because I love doing it, not because I have to. If I don't feel like it and I don't want to, I don't have to work. So I'm just stating that if you do it correctly in this business, you can accomplish and get to a point where you choose to work versus having to work, okay? So having said that, okay, so there's the goals. I have always had big, huge whys. And I'm an immigrant from Hungary. I arrived in Canada. Actually, it's going to be my anniversary this month, October 31st, 1963. That's when I arrived in Canada from Hungary. And I didn't speak any English, and I had to learn a whole bunch of stuff. But that's a different story. All I want to say to you is this, that over those years, I learned the real estate business. I studied it. But the reason that I made money and the reason I was successful and be able to accomplish things is not because of my education, definitely not because of my background, definitely not because I'm a tall, dark, and handsome kind of guy, okay? It's none of that. It wasn't even my parents. They were poor. They were just regular working people. So it wasn't anything like that that caused me to a success. What caused me is I have huge goals. I have big desires. I want to make things happen. I watch people in my family. I watch people in my country not having all those things. And I wanted it. I wanted to have a big way. So that was the number 1. The second thing you need, and again, I don't know if you have the handout, but it says a plan. So you need goals, number 1, and number 2, you need a plan. And what I call the plan is a roadmap. If I want to go from here to Northern California and visit you guys up there, I need to know where I am and where am I going specifically. I need to know where exactly you're in Northern California. I need to know all the highways going there if I'm going to drive. I need to know which airplane to take, whether I do a connector or a straight. So I need a plan. And most realtors don't have a plan. And the plan, again, just going back to, you know, what Damien said earlier, is October the 23rd is a goal setting / business planning session. Make sure you attend that, because this is the best time of the year. I usually do my planning for the next year, October or November, okay? And this is the time to do it. You always pre-plan. So the goals and the planning is going to be taken care of on October the 23rd. Now, what I'm going to teach you and work with you today is about the next thing, which is called skill, okay? Skill. What is skill? Skill is not knowledge. So we need to really understand that. And a lot of people think, well, if I just go take a bunch of courses and learn all this stuff, I'll become skillful. No. The way you develop skill is you must rehearse, role play, and practice. So write that down. Rehearse, role play, and practice. That's how you become skillful. Here's the reality of it. You can watch all the baseball games. You can sit in the field. You can hold the bat. You can hold the ball. But until you actually start swinging and going to hit that ball, you're never going to learn how to play baseball. It's just a fact. So you need to put yourself in the game and start playing the game. But the best way to learn how to be an expert in the game is to start out by getting some coaching, some help, some support, some mentoring, and having a system that you follow step by step to develop your skills. So in the skill development, there's a whole bunch of things that we have. Now, one of the most important to me, this is just for Alex, is prospecting. And here's the reason that I sometimes I say I love prospecting. I actually don't really love prospecting, okay? But I know I have to do the prospecting. I enjoy it. Sometimes I don't enjoy it, but I still do it. And I used to block off time every single day for the last 37 years. Sometimes it was an hour in the morning, sometimes it was 2 hours, and sometimes it was 3 hours, depending on what my goals were at the time. But I always had specific time of prospecting, because even if you spend a bunch of money and generate leads, and I've got thousands of leads in my computer, you're still going to have to call them. You're still going to have to learn how to call them and prospect them and talk to them, okay? If you get referrals, you're still going to have to call them. If you want to work with centers of influence, you're still going to have to call them. If you're going to do circle prospecting, or you do an open house and people come through, you're still going to have to learn how to call them. So the prospecting, calling aspect of it never goes away. And, you know, I know you came into real estate and they probably didn't tell you in the beginning that you're going to have to prospect, but that's the good news and the bad news. You're going to have to prospect. And bigger your goal, the more you have to prospect, the more you have to get good at it. And I got really good at it. I wrote books on this. I've got manuals. If you want scripts, I got tons of scripts. We got some free scripts. Damien, we would be able to send some of it out to you. I got booklets on it. So I gathered scripts, and you probably heard these names: Mike Ferry, you know, Floyd Wickman, Tom Ferry, you know, and just thousands of people out there that have done all of this, you know. Jerry Bresser, he's an old-time prospector, you know. And so I read and studied all of their skills, and then I role-played them. So what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about my schedule, okay? And the reason I do that is because I said there's 4 things you need. Number 1, you need goals. Number 2, you need a plan. Number 3, you need skill. And number 4 is going to be action. Action. In other words, you got to go to work. And in action is, you write beside the word action, schedule or schedule, depends which way you pronounce it. You need to have a schedule. You need to have a framework that you're going to work inside of, that you're going to block off time and you're going to follow through with it. So those are the 4 pieces. Now let me go back to the skill development, because I need to talk to you about my schedule and how I was able to sell 100 homes a year consistently for the last 37 years, okay? So I would lay out my schedule, and I would always lay out my schedule. Like right now, it's October. I would lay out my schedule, so to speak, my plan for next year already. I already have, okay, I already have my 2020-21 week at a glance, okay? And I will lay out my time for next year. Now, the very first thing I plug in there is my vacations. Because what I used to discover is I say, oh, I'll take a vacation when I have time, but you will never have time. The same way like you say, oh, I'm going to save money when I have some money left over. Bottom line is you'll never have any money left over unless you pay yourself first. Okay, so I take 10% of everything I make. I put in a bank account. I have it over there stashed away. I got another 10% over here. I put it towards some taxes, and I have different accounts, and I make sure that I have that money there. Because if I don't pay me first, then by the time the month is over, I notice that all my money is gone. Okay, so I need to have a strategy. So I plan now for next year. Then every month, I review my plan for the following month, and I plan and alternate and change and modify and fix the schedule for the following month. Like towards the end of October, October 27, 28, 29, I'm going to start working on November, take a look at what I got to do in November and make some adjustments. Then every Sunday night, I review my schedule for the following week. I take a look at the week. I said, okay, what's going to happen? Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? How is it going to work? And I review it. And then every single night, I will look at my schedule for the next day. Because I just reviewed my day. Today is Wednesday. Okay, tonight I'll review Wednesday, see what I did, and may make some adjustment to tomorrow, Thursday, because what's going to happen is, you know, I might have missed something, weren't able to get it done, I couldn't reach the people, or whatever the issue is, but I can make adjustments in my schedule for tomorrow. So every night, I review my schedule that I had for the day, and I review my schedule for the next day and make some adjustments in case I have to make up some time or something dramatic happen or something, okay? So that's kind of like on the schedule side of it. And I generally work Monday through Friday. Sometimes I would work on a Saturday, you know, in the morning till about 1, 2 o'clock. But most of the time, and by the way, when I set my schedule, I not only set my schedule for work, I set it for everything. Now, my family always makes fun of me that, you know, you're going to schedule the day you're going to die. I actually have a schedule for that. I know where I'm going. Okay, I actually wrote it down. So, you know, it freaks them out, but that's just the way I think. When I go on vacation, I plan the vacation. Okay, I went to Europe 3 years ago. I planned every single place we stayed at, what the distances were, the time to get there, to make sure that we were following some kind of a pattern, some kind of a plan. So I always like to pre-plan and work on things in advance, so I avoid surprises and emergencies. Okay, that's what I want to avoid. So I would lay out my week. Now, let me explain to you what my week would look like, or what my days look like. I'd get up in the morning. I don't do it now because I'm not full-time real estate, okay? I do things a little bit differently now. But I would get up in the morning around 6 o'clock. I'd go to the gym, I work out, and then I would, you know, go to the office. I usually there by about 8 o'clock. I review all of my lists. I have the list of FSBOs, expireds, or who I'm going to call. And then at 8:30, I would grab one of the other agents in my office, or I would have a role play partner in another city, even sometimes a different company. You know, I work at Century 21, and I call a guy Remax because he was really good on the phone. So we'd practice on each other. Because here's the thing that I learned many years ago. You don't want to practice on a customer. That could be very expensive. It could cost you thousands of dollars. So don't practice on a customer, practice on another agent. Practice with somebody else, and that way you get better. Okay, you know, think about a major, you know, football team or baseball team or hockey. They don't practice when they play the game. They practice a whole bunch. I mean, you know, I've never played football, but people tell me you practice all week just to play the game on a Sunday, okay, just for that one game. So make sure that you get all your practice in. So I would get my practice in between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. I'd role play with somebody. I say, okay, we're going to call FISBOs today. So let's do the FISBO script. You be the FISBO, Carol. I'm going to call you. You give me all the objections you want, and I'm going to handle them for you. Then, once I book an appointment with you, then we flip it over. I'll be the FISBO, and you call me, and you try to book an appointment with me. And that's the way we would role play practice for about 30 minutes. And then, come 9 o'clock, we'd be on the phone calling people, okay? And I generally called from 9 o'clock till 10:30, take a 15-minute break, and get back on the phone at 10:45, and I would stop at noon. Because I wanted to make a lot of money. I wanted to get this thing done as quickly as possible. So I would prospect a lot, because I can't even remember who said this to me, but here's what they said. They said, massive action leads to massive results. Okay? Sometimes people say, oh, you're so lucky. Yeah, the harder I work, the luckier I get. Okay, that's just a fact of life. So massive action leads to massive results. So I would make a lot of prospecting calls every single day, because years ago, when I first got to a training with Mike Ferry, he said, spend the morning looking for new business and spend the afternoon getting rid of the listings that you just took. So that's what I would do. I would prospect every single morning to build my business, to get new clients, to get new possibilities. And so from, I would take a 15-minute break at 10:30. Here's a key thing, okay? Do not answer your phone during prospecting time, and do not return any calls or messages. Do not check your messages. I would check my messages at 12 o'clock. So between 12 and 12:30, I would check my messages. Then I would grab a quick lunch, from 12:30 to 1 o'clock. I didn't go out and have a big lunch. I didn't go socialize with all the realtors, because they're not going to buy a house from me anyway. So why would I spend and waste my time? If I'm going to spend time with anybody, I would spend it with my family. And a lot of times we end up hanging out with the other agents in the office, spending an hour, 2 hours, wasting it, but we could be with our family. So, unless it's a training or role playing or something that's going to help me and help them, I don't spend the time. I'd like you to write down another sentence that just kind of came to me. I used to ask myself all day this question: is what I'm doing right now an income producing activity? Is what I'm doing right now an income producing activity? Prospecting, going on appointments, and going to trainings, those were income producing activities. Everything else wasn't. So why would I be wasting my time with it? Okay. And also on that same kind of question is what I'm doing right now getting me closer to my goal or goals? Okay. That's an important question to ask. So that way you wouldn't waste a lot of time. And, I used to joke with people, but it was a reality for me that I would only spend time with people I could learn from, profit from, or I enjoyed their company. And I used to say to agents in my office, if I can learn from you, profit from you, or enjoy your company, I'm not going to spend any time with you. Now, a lot of people didn't like me, but that's okay, because you need to hang around people that are going to build you up and help you and move you forward, not drag you down. I never got involved in conversations like, oh, Carol, oh, you wouldn't believe, oh, I was at an appointment last night and I lost a listing. I was there for 2 hours. And then you'd be like, oh, I lost 2 of them last night. And we'd be comparing notes on who's the biggest loser right now, right? We'd be comparing all the negativity. I'm not interested in that. I go to a listing appointment. I would review it after to see what I did right and what I did wrong, okay, to make myself better. If I didn't get the listing, if I got the listing, I still review it to what else could I have done different, and I just move forward. So the thing about it is that I constantly keep asking myself the question, is what I'm doing right now really moving in the right direction? And so that's, I'm just suggesting to you, again, everybody's different. Some people like it more social. You like to hang out with other agents in the office and all that. Now, one of the things I like about, the company, your company, is that you folks are mainly cloud-based. So you don't have to hang around a lot of office time or anything like that, because here's the thing. Sometimes you could be in the office for 2, 3, 4 hours, and I'm sure we all worked for different companies, and you could waste a ton of time. And people will take your time, because what I find is people want you to be successful, but not more successful than them. So if they can kind of drag you down with them a little bit, they will. I'm not interested in that. That's one of the things I like about Sheila's group, is that everybody's very positive, very forward thinking. Everybody wants to hang out together because we all want to make each other better. And that's why she does all these trainings and brings in all these different people, is to say, okay, here's a way to look at it. Here's another way to look at it. Some of you are not going to like what I say. That's okay. Doesn't matter. Okay. Take something from it that is going to help you. Drop the rest. Okay. And then go get something else from somebody else and put it together and make it your own style. Okay. So that's the important part. Anyways, so I wouldn't get disturbed. I wouldn't check my phone or anything until noon. And the reason is I did not want to know about any problems, because it could affect my brain for prospecting. It would put some negative thoughts in my head. My deal is falling apart, so I have to jump on it. Now, some of you might be thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute, Alex. That means is that there's an emergency. Here's my attitude about emergency. There isn't an emergency. You need to block off your time, and you need to handle things in the appropriate manner. And sometimes when I was a broker, agents would come to me and say, hey, oh, Alex, oh, I got this emergency or all that. And I would say to them, what makes you think that a lack of planning on your part constitutes an emergency on my part? I've had hundreds of agents, and I can't be pulled in 100 different directions. So what I would do is set my schedule, set the time for the agent, set the time for my client, set the date with my wife, the date with my kids, social time. I play racquetball, so I would have my sports. I would have everything set up and compartmentalized. And, you know, if a customer called me on Sunday and said, I got to see you like right now, I said, I'm sorry, I have an appointment. Okay, I'm already booked today. Well, what I was booked with is my family. I was taking my family out. I was spending time with my wife. I was going to the beach. To me, that's an appointment I set with myself, because I feel that what I need to do is to cover all the bases of my business: physical, spiritual, relational, and financial. And when I set up my schedule, my framework, the week at a glance, I plug in different things in different places, because I actually did a time management course. And Damien, you know, if I know I sent you guys the videos and you guys put it on the website, and if anybody doesn't have it, you could maybe send it to them. You know, the time management ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was 2 videos I shot, and I talk about you can't manage time. You can only manage the activities you put into the time. And it's on the website, okay? Both of those are on there. There's 2 categories, and they're each about 4 or 5 minute videos, and they give you a lot of really good help to help you to schedule your time and block off your time and what you need to do, okay? So then I would have my lunch, and like I said, I wouldn't hang around with other agents to have lunch. I would just have my lunch, and I ate because I needed food. And then from 1 o'clock on, I had different things. I had listing appointments. I had buyer appointments. I did some training. I followed up with clients. I did a whole bunch of different things that I plugged in there in different sections, okay? And this way, I could follow through with things, and then I would block off a certain time that I would go home. And, you know, this is when I'm going home, and this is what I'm going to do when I get home. So when I get home, I would have dinner. Sometimes I would work a couple of nights in the evening. Then I would have dinner earlier at around 5 o'clock, and I would have it at the office. But otherwise, most times I would try to get home by 5, 5:30, 6 o'clock at the latest, okay? And then here's what I would do. In the evening, I would block off time for my entertainment. If I wanted to watch a show, I would block off time that if I was going to exercise again. Sometimes I would get partners in racquetball or squash that couldn't play in the morning, so I would, you know, play with them. I had a good buddy of mine, Ian, up in Canada. We used to play at lunchtime. Okay, instead of having lunch for half an hour, I would take an hour for lunch, and I would go to the gym and I'd play squash with them. So again, you can adjust that to what suits your lifestyle, but you got to plug everything in there. Then in the evening, okay, one of the last thing I would do is around 10, 10:30, I would take out my week at a glance. I would take it out, I would look at it, and I would review the day. And here's what I recommend you do. You get yourself 2 markers, a red one and a green one. And I would look at the day, and I would look at the things that I had blocked off, and I would take my green pen and I put a check mark beside everything that I did accomplish that day, and I put a red X through the ones I didn't accomplish that day. So that way, visually, because we're very visual people, we would look at it and I could see all the red marks. It's kind of like in school, you know, when I used to have all the red marks on my papers. So anyways, and I used to get a lot of that. But, and then I could see the green check marks. I would know what I actually accomplished. So that kind of put me at ease, made me feel better about myself, adjust the day for the next day. And then that was it, okay? Now, let me go back to the goal setting and planning. What you should also do is read your goals every single night. Some of the people I coach right now, there's one lady, she just took 20 listings, 20, okay, from one client. And what was happening with her is she didn't have good, strong goals. She did not read her goals in the morning and at night. You should read them in the morning. When you get up, that's the first thing you read. You get yourself excited for the day. And read them at night, too. That's the last thing goes in your brain, and then you can think about it. Sometimes you'll dream about it. You'll come up with ideas and all kinds of stuff. So that's the only change I made with her in the last month. And she just took 20 lists. I did a coaching call with her today at noon, just before I got on with you folks. And she took 20 listings. She finally got all the contracts filled in. And here was a funny thing. She got the contracts all signed yesterday. This morning, she got in her email a full price cash offer on one of the properties. It was awesome. And all she did was make a little shift in her schedule, reading her goals, getting excited about it. It motivated her to get on the phone in the morning. She's a single mom, got an 11-year-old little boy. She's taking care of him. She lives in a place where, you know, it's not that great of a place. She wants to buy a house for herself. And she's gone through a lot of tough times. She's working on getting her credit up. She's working on saving money so she can buy a property for herself and her son. So once I started to understand that and kept talking about it, she said, you know what, I really need to do this. I really need to do this. I said, okay, well, look at it every night, look at it every morning, and then it gets you all excited. So that kind of gives you a schedule of what I used to do in order for me to stay on track. Now, on the skill development side, you could go back to the skill development again. Prospecting, like I said, is a very crucial thing. So what you need to do is you need to learn some scripts, and Damien has some scripts, and he can send them out to you folks. And what you do is you role play and practice and read them out loud to yourself and practice them on another agent. And the more you read it, the more you internalize it, and you read it out loud. And the reason is because when you read it loud, you're involving your senses, your sight, the sound, and you can feel, you know, when you're reading it. So involve as many of your senses as possible. And then obviously, you know, the best practice is, once you get good at that, is to actually go to the appointments and, you know, work with the clients. So if you need some scripts, you can ask for them, you can have them. If you need more scripts, or you need to talk to me, or need to get a hold of me or something, Damien has my information. You can ask me. I've got all kinds of other stuff. You know, I really enjoy, you know, handing it out. So is there any questions or comments or anything right now? I want to just open it up a little bit. And, you know, since we started later, I want to talk a little bit more and help you guys. So go ahead, anybody that has a question. You can unmute yourself and then just ask your question. I know you're thinking, Carol, you kind of got that pondering look on your face. Oh, so who's got a question?
Hey, Alex, you said that you had some scripts that we could get. Are they at your website, or?
We are actually working on our website right now. Damien is helping me with my website, and I'm revamping it, you know. So
are they in your books?
Well, Damien has a bunch of mine that you can have. Okay. There's also a free ebook you can get. And Damien, you have the link to that free ebook. You can send that out to these folks.
Yeah,
Okay.
what I'll do is I'll send them the ebook as well as the scripts that you recommend to me after our meeting. I'll send it to everybody.
Okay, good. Yeah, I wrote, co-authored, I shouldn't say I wrote, I co-authored 3 different books, and one of them is, I turned it into an ebook, and it's free, you can have it. And it was, you know, Ken Blanchard, Jack Canfield, and Stephen Covey were my co-authors, so that was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah. But I've got tons more, and if you have some specific questions and things that you're struggling with or you need help with, you can always reach out to me. It's not a problem. You know, it's easy to get a hold of me. My email is myname@gmail.com. Okay, so as you can see my name there, alexszinegh@gmail.com. That's my email. So it's simple.
You said that you did all this stuff Monday through Friday. Did you do like listings or what did you do on Saturday? Is that just strictly for family, or did you do showings and stuff on Saturday, or what?
Well, okay, so just to clarify, here's what I learned very early in the game. Those who have the listings control the market. Okay, so I was a listing agent mainly, because here I read a study by NAR, National Association of Realtors, said that it takes about 4 to 5 hours on the average from the time you talk to a customer, take the listing, put it up, get an offer on it, negotiate it, and get it done. It takes on the average 50 to 60 hours with a buyer. Okay? So I wanted to make a lot of money. So what I did, I always carried anywhere from 30 to 40 listings at a time, because if I figured I was like an MLS. And here's the other thing I want you to think about, Ivan. Okay, and this was, I'm lazy. People go, yeah, but you work so much. Yeah, but I'm lazy. I want to be efficient. What I discovered on my MLS, where I was at the time up in Toronto, there was 17,000 realtors on the MLS.
Wow.
Every time I had a buyer, I had 16,999 people I worked for. Okay. But every time I took a listing, I had 16,999 employees that were running around out there trying to sell my listing. Do you see the perspective there?
Yes.
So 1 month, it was 1995. In September, I did 28 transactions. They were all my listings. I didn't take a single buyer out. Everybody came to me. The reason, because I had 40 listings. So I had 40 listings, and there was a low inventory like now. So they had to come to me. Every time I took a listing, they were selling. So that's what I focused on. I figured it was a lot easier for me, for my time and energy. And that way I didn't have to work at night, and I didn't have to work weekends. And this day and age, it's even easier. I'm sitting here in Marathon. My client lives in Texas. I live in Daytona Beach. Okay. So we do everything online. It's e-signing. Everything is done on. Oh, by the way, the buyer I just sold it to, okay, I had the listing and I sold to my buyer. My buyer lives in Jacksonville, Florida. So Texas is where the client lives. The buyer is in Jacksonville, Florida, and I live in Daytona Beach, and the property's in Marathon. Okay, it's a lot easier today to do business than ever before. So I can be global, if you will. I also own property in Costa Rica. I just sold 2 of my properties in Costa Rica. Didn't even see the customer. They want to buy my house. I said, okay, start wiring me some money. He says, I can wire you about 25 to 30,000 a day. Go ahead. Because that's all they would let him to wire from Argentina. Send me the money. Once I got your money, my guy in Costa Rica will do the paperwork. I already signed it. He will transfer the property to you. I got my money. He got the property. And I never even saw the guy. So today, it's a lot easier to do business. And even today, I want to focus on listings. I still do some real estate. It's not my full-time job, but I still do it because I love the game. And one of the things I really love about it, Ivan, is that there is nothing you can tell me or any agent can tell me that I'm not experiencing the same way you're experiencing it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You see? So I'm never going to tell you to do something I cannot do myself or I'm not willing to do myself. That's why I stay in the game. That's why I keep my license active. Okay, my wife is a real estate broker. Okay, she's a broker. So, you know, what I do is I make sure that I'm staying in the game. I understand the problems you're having. I understand the difficulties and the frustrations you're having, because I'm having the same frustrations, you know, spending money on internet leads, and most of it is like garbage. You know, it's not working. And, you know, you have to build relationships. You have to shift around and do it differently. Like in the old days, almost, you know, in the old days, we built relationships. We didn't have internet. We didn't have texting. We didn't have Twix and Twitter and all these TikToks and all these silly little things and Facebook. We have to actually talk to people. So it was all about relationships. So, but very good question, Ivan. Thank you. Anybody else? Is anything else?
Hey, Alex.
Yes.
So when you're talking about prospecting, what you had mentioned a little bit of like lead generation. Is that all inclusive with that, making time for prospecting, lead generation, like an all-in-one part with the scripts and all that?
Okay, so let me make something very clear. Prospecting and lead generation are two different things. It's like people in the old days used to say sales and marketing. Marketing is marketing and sales is sales. Okay, but they used to lump it into one thing. Especially today, it's very different. Marketing and lead generation is a whole thing in itself. I take classes on Facebook marketing, on Instagram marketing. You know, I take classes on how to market better, more effectively. You know, hyper-local marketing, hyper-local focusing. You know, I'm learning from other agents who are much younger than me, who are experts at this stuff. So I'm picking their brain to see what to do. That's marketing. And I have a system right now that I use, okay? It generates me sometimes 50, 60 leads a month. It just automatically comes because I got these Facebook ads. And they wrote the ads for me. All I have to do is activate it, put a budget to it, and it automatically sends me the people. And then all I have to do now is prospect those people. So that's two different skills, okay? I automated my marketing, and you should have your marketing automated, okay? And the system that I use is actually a guy from Western Canada that they have their system, and it seems to be a good system. So I use his system. The other thing I also use, I don't know if you ever heard of it, called Land Voice. Damien, have you ever heard of Land Voice? Okay.
No, I have not.
Land Voice is a company that will send me every single day FSBOs and expireds to my email with their name, phone number, information about the house and everything, every single day. It costs me about $50, $60 a month. That's it. And they send it to me every day. The other place I go to lead generate is I go to Zillow. I put in my zip code, 32114 is where I live. I put in 32114 in Zillow, and I see all the FSBOs that come up. There was 17 the other day. Okay, I pull up the FSBOs and I call them. I love Zillow because they organize them for me. Okay, it's a free thing, but the other thing, Land Voice, I pay a service. The company that does the internet marketing for me and Facebook ads and all that, I pay them thousands of dollars. It's called Street Text, and I work with them. So there are different companies. There is Boomtown, and there is Broker Agent 360, and you know, I think Damien, you folks have something, some kind of a system, right?
Yeah, Bixby Realty uses KB Core.
Okay, KB Core, yeah.
Right.
So everybody has some kind of a system that lead generates. So good question, Carol. Lead generation and prospecting are two different things. Lead generation, you should have it automated. You should not be fooling around with that thing because it's just too much time we can spend messing around on the computer. It diverts us. And here's what I found with agents. It's a lot easier to mess around with all that stuff instead of making a phone call. So they'll go do that because they're, oh, I don't want to call people. But I'll tell you, this lady that just took the 20 listings, she was petrified of making phone calls, petrified. Didn't want to contact expired. And the way she got that listing is, or those listings, is she actually did not have a phone number for some of the expired. So I recommended she does handwritten letters. She lives in Las Vegas, this lady that I'm coaching. The client lives in Montreal, Canada. Okay? She sent him a handwritten note. He responded to her. She got his phone number. They've been talking for about 3-4 weeks, okay? And then now she got 20 listings. So the fact that she wrote the handwritten note, that's a prospecting action. The lead was, she looked up the lead and she got it from Land Voice, and it said this person expired, but there was no phone number. So I said, if you get one that's no phone number, send them a handwritten note. I've gotten lots of listings with handwritten notes. And when I say handwritten note, you actually write the envelope, you write your name in the top corner, okay, in your own handwriting, you address it. Because I don't know how you work, but the way I work is I sort my mail over the garbage can, okay? Anything that is pre-stamped and anything's got a label on it, pre-printed and all that, I throw it away. Sometimes the bill, I still throw it away. No, just kidding. Okay. But if I get something that looks like somebody wrote to me handwritten, that I will open. That's got to be important. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay? So 2 different things. Lead generation and marketing is one group, and the other thing is prospecting. Prospecting is purely contacting that person, whether through a handwritten note or calling them. If you got their phone number, always call them. But then if you don't, send them a handwritten note. I hope that clarified it for you. Anybody else has a question? Anybody else has a comment? Go ahead. We still got a little bit of time. I wanted to give you guys all the time that we allotted for this to make sure that, we deliver everything you're looking for. Any thoughts, Damien? Any other comments?
No, I don't have any comments. I think you presented a really great class today, and we appreciate everything you've done and taken the time to share your experience. But no comments from here. We just certainly appreciate your time.
Okay, no problem. Well, if anybody else has anything, my email is myname@gmail.com. You can always send me an email. Sometimes I get from people that I coached over the years, they send me an email and said, hey, I've got this really tough customer. What do you think? And I can give them some advice. And, I have coaching programs and I have all kinds of trainings. And, Damien, you should send every single person the link to that free mini course that I have.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, send them that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a free mini course. It's got 4 videos in there. They're all like 4 or 5 minutes each. Gives you some ideas. You can watch those. It can help you. If some of the information is similar to what I talked about today, it's going to reinforce things for you. Just sign up. It's free. We don't charge you anything for that. I have lots of people that pay me thousands of dollars to coach them and help them. That's a different thing. But this I do just to give you a bunch of stuff that you can utilize right now. All right. And was there any questions in the chat part there?
Let's see, Charlotte. Can you?
Somebody said Land Voice is like RedX. Correct. Actually, the guy that started RedX used to work for Land Voice.
Oh wow.
Okay. And it says I can get earlier. Missed most of it. Yeah, it's recorded. Yes, you can listen to it. Damien, you're gonna post this on the Facebook page?
Yep, I will post it on the Facebook page. Follow it up with the links, and I'll make sure to get everyone here the scripts as well as access to your course that you've created for agents. And
then the free ebook.
And the free ebook. That's correct.
Okay. And okay, I think we answered all the questions here. That's good. That's great. Guys, thank you very much. If you've got anybody moving to Daytona Beach, let me know. Okay, or anywhere in Florida. As you can see, my license says Florida. It's kind of like when I worked in Las Vegas, Nevada. I lived there and worked there. People said, do you sell anything anywhere in Nevada? My license said Nevada. I would take a listing anywhere because especially today, there's such a shortage of inventory. It's pretty well everything will sell. Okay, if you price it right, obviously. Like, okay, I just want to make sure you understand that you got to do the right pricing on it, because there's a lot of stuff on the MLS, it's garbage. Okay, it's picked over, it's like in a fruit stand, and it's old, and people just didn't price it correctly. My question always is, do you really absolutely have to sell and want to sell this house? And then let's price it correctly. Let's get on with it. You know? All right, make sure you tag me on it when you post it, Damien, if you could please.
Will do.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. I enjoy this. I always do. I appreciate Damien and Sheila for inviting me here to work with you folks. And like I said, anything you need, just let me know. I'm available. Okay.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks.
Alex.
Take care, guys. Bye for now.